Manasvi.
Hey, hi Namrata. I was looking at that other meeting chat. I thought you are still there.
Yeah, we are just done.
Okay. Oh, so they are telling to remove the fields now.
Yeah, because that is not serving much significant purpose than creating more confusion for them. So and also, so their requirement is now is they don't need those fields, and since there will be cost incurred even if they don't need, like our current system will still be doing shenanigans in app code logic, so that anyway would have like cost incurred in terms of the code maintenance and the API cost, because most of those flows are calling TMX summary, which is like AWS call for retrieving those two fields. So it's a plan that it's better to remove the fields from the source system itself, like from TMX code logic.
Oh,
However, this will be a low priority work,
okay.
but data warehouse team do not need those, because I think it was creating a lot of hassle for them to maintain the joins query and the data analytics view for finding the patterns, and it was creating confusion because there is no business logic for them, rather than relying on us as downstream system every time. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so keep looking for, like, I think we had a good path forward on this call. Andy joined today, so he will be creating a new card or maybe the new feature. Again, it may be a low priority, like last time, like whatever we discussed today. But down the line, if something comes up, then you and Doreen can follow up. I involved Doreen today just to hear the conversation in my
Okay.
absence, so that if you need anything, you guys can work together in this topic.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll need to remove that bug. Like last time Aloki had told me to create like separate bug for data warehouse correction
yeah,
for those fields.
correct.
Yeah,
Because I
so
think
that is not valid now, that bug.
not valid, right? Right. So I think the bug we created just for a tracking perspective, but the action item was still on the data warehouse, right?
Correct, correct.
Yeah. So yeah, we can tag Courtney MK in that, based on today's note, and I just mentioned notes what I could capture. But if Courtney is sending an email for official information what she agreed and what she wanted us to do, then we can attach that email and close it out. But yeah, tag Courtney and MK for sure, and also Andy, that what we discussed, it's good to close.
Okay.
Yeah, so you tell me how things are going on. I mean,
Yeah, it's like kind of like I don't know actually what I'm doing. I'm like, that's what I was telling Paul, because like once I will start on Kool-Aid, and then that was like misunderstanding from my part. I thought you are back. So, and Deepu was also like, oh, now Namrata is back. So we thought I should be going back to Square. So,
yeah,
then
yeah,
we
because
figured out like,
right, like I mentioned earlier before going, it was something I was just working, and then it was just having a second opinion. I thought if everything goes good, I will be having surgery there, but that didn't work out. So yeah, so I talked to Paul also, because last time what we all discussed on Monday, I'll still suggest you to continue on that QA lead in Coolity team.
right.
Yeah, and since I will be back in January first week, and
Okay.
depending on whatever your workload is, I told Doreen also, just keep work. I don't know how, because what I have seen the roadmap, and with respect to the next few sprint work, I don't think we will be having a lot of new core functionality for testing validation, because even the card
Right.
gets pulled into our sprint backlog and also in the development. The card are so heavy lifted that it may take development work to be completed at least by December end. But anything
Yeah, true.
but anything additional comes in terms of the tech debt, production bug analysis. that is something you just need to coordinate with Doreen. I hope, like, I'll hear from you also because I had that another question. But right now, is it something Doreen mostly checking all the testing validation, or you were also contributing? Like, are you were you actually looking just for the delegation perspective, or were you also involved in testing validation? I just wanted to know like how
Yeah,
much
so
she was able to contribute in my absence in terms of what you were working through as well.
yeah, so the thing is, she's, I mean, again, that's our job. Like, if you are like serving as a QA lead, then yeah, you have to assign and all that. But still, uh, like when I was QA, we don't wait because we have that board in front of us, so we know like, oh, this card is coming in, right? So then she doesn't like proactively create test cases. So once, like for one card, I started like I created test cases, and then I
Right.
was like, okay, can you please take a look? And since I'm like kind of new, I mean, I know Kool-Aid,
It's like
what we are
nudging
working
her.
on, but yeah,
It's like nudging
yeah.
her
So
every time. Yeah.
right.
Same thing. Like
So can
I
you take a look and add any scenarios if I'm missing? Then she said, okay, but yeah, I did not hear anything back from her. And testing also, like, uh, eventually I assigned it to her. I mean, I was hoping,
she will pick it.
but that's my, like, yeah, that's like my, what do you call, like, jada expectation ho gaya, maybe. But
No, that's okay because the same thing I have been facing. I mean, I have told many times also when I brought that concern to our RMs also because of course I have got feedback from our devs also, and of course being a QA lead to QLED, that was my constant observation, and I have been trying to pull her all the times just to be a little proactive because otherwise it's always a additional overhead. I mean, of course we need to nudge it out, but it's not always needed because right now if we see that apart from the sprint work or anything we request her, she's not being actively involved like for the production
yeah,
analysis,
when you assign it to her, then she's doing it.
but she's not taking work
But
proactively,
she's not taking like ownership of it,
ownership of that.
So,
Yeah, yeah, that's
and
that's
I expect it because she's being here for like more than a year, right? So
more than
by
two,
that time,
more than 2 years. Yeah.
oh, 2 years already. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that part. Like for example, when non-communicator days were changed to 35 days, right? So uh, that time also that change, yeah, that came in like as a sudden change. I was also informed by Aloki saying, hey, you know what, we need to do this, and that was again Friday, we need to do this, and yeah, we have to test it and push it to production as soon as possible. So that time we had a call, just a, we had set up a call with Yasmin because she wanted uh, to know,
For shadow, okay.
like, yeah, what's her next, like who is going to like onboard her or whatever. Not onboard, yeah, what she's doing, just shadowing, right? She's not going to work on our project. So in that call I mentioned like this is what happening, and yeah, we need to do it. But again, like I said, it was Friday, and the code came in, like Brian Bishop was working on it, and it took for a while, like this time, like almost 3 o'clock. Then, like proactively, she did not look into it, so that's why I was the one who tested that because it was urgent. So that type of thing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
for that also, I mean, sometimes I feel like I also stumbled upon, but when they changed it to 35 days, right? So you cannot test it through that postman, because postman is like you are sending SNS.
Yeah, it should be tested on the extractor level.
extractor. So that understanding she did not have, and I was trying to tell her, but I don't know how, like she got it, or but for some reason she kept thinking, we need to test it through that SNS.
That's what I always face with her. Like, you might have seen me. That's why I need to explain things over and over. And uh, from last few times, I started challenging her, like rather than providing the input. So I would also suggest you to start challenging her, because I have been trying the same very hard, but and every time providing that information really make people like a setback, like laid back. Okay, if
Right.
QA leads are providing problems or solution or kind of input, so they don't think by themselves, and that kind of things I have faced a lot. So I would suggest, because that's what I have started doing lately, that challenge her, like ask her like what approach she had followed, or what direction she was going through, and just to know where she is lacking, whether it's just an approach she doesn't work proactively, or there are some other gaps which she is not aware of. I mean, you rightly put the same situation I had. Like, she has been testing with being non-installer, non-communicator so many times, more than
Right.
myself. But at the time of any new changes come, I did not see her raising any critical bug, minor, lower bug. I remember last time, one of the brands card for non-installer, non-communicator, sorry, this communication API for crash SMS. There was a main app code changes which Pankaj brought, and she tested that card was really complex, and then there was a test specific call for Brian's changes, which was just an integrating the new API with the UBI notification. And I'm just giving you an example. That way, I also learn like we need to keep starting the execution more promptly, to like asking her to provide all those details, because that's the gap. Like, first of all, if you are not providing any information, it's okay, but that's our assumption that you are well aware of the functionality change coming, what are the prerequisite steps, detail you need to accomplish your job. And those are the things I always find hard for her, to be well aware, and always struggling at the time of execution when the code comes in QA. So you can start challenging early in the cycle. Maybe you can start with the test case review, like tell her some timeline that I am assigned. First of all, she has to pick. Even if you are assigning the cards to her, ask her that let's create these test cases by this time, and let's have a review of something we need to add or plus minus. That is one thing. But keep trying to challenge her rather than providing. I know this might be a little annoying or struggling for you also, like the way it has been for me, that sometimes if she's not responding in timely manner, then considering the time crunch or kind priority of the work, we also provide that information, because we wanted to save overall work to be optimized.
Right.
But if that happens a lot again in next few sprint, I would also suggest to give that feedback to Pam, because I have given that feedback a lot of time, and then she also talked, and I keep telling Doreen many times, but I was still not seeing a lot of improvement in terms of that domain knowledge, or using the testing tools and method very effectively, because these are the flow we are not changing a lot. The core functionality and the business function remains same. It just any new minor major change comes, like whatever the domain knowledge she needs to accomplish her job, I feel there is also gap a lot. Like, she has been in this project, but if you ask me and you and Deepu, we know the things where to look at, like Splunk query. But I have seen that even for those minor details, like I have explained for how to look at the right app code lambda based Splunk query, what flow is triggering which lambda code, and that is also a struggle. Like, I think I also suggested her, if she doesn't remember things, she can bookmark those kind of Splunk queries, or keep maintaining the document, so that at the time of need she doesn't really need to struggle for the basic information lookout here and there.
Right.
So you can provide that feedback to Pam also, for sure, because I think
Oh, yeah.
more than me and Aloki had provided the feedback, it will be good because you are recently started mentoring her and watching her work closely as a QA
Yeah.
lead.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why maybe, I mean, like I said, right, it's our job too, because that's why like we have been like differentiated as a lead. But yeah, like I'm new to that, so I feel like assigning the work to someone is like kind of because I'm new, I'm feeling like a pressure, like
No, that's true, and that's why because I actually left in middle of that. So that card which Pankaj deployed, right, and that was a complex card in terms of testing because it was a new API altogether, and there were so many input. And I remember first 2 days she told, like, someone asked in the stand-up call, and she mentioned, oh, everything is good and there was no bug raised, and she told everything is working fine. And then I asked Pankaj. Pankaj also told, yeah, I work with her, and because of course developers always get confidence if there is no bug, right? But
right, yeah.
considering the ARE complexity, I always get that. I mean, that's my QA tester brain, I would say, that I always
Right.
see like there is no 100% code that couldn't have a minor or major bug until unless we are missing.
Correct.
So she told in the stand up, like, oh, code is all good and we will be signing off in next 2 days. And then Brian's test specify happened, I think, on the third day of her testing, which was just an integration. So we were supposed to do the early integration for DC work. And somehow when I asked some question on that Brian's test specify call, I think you were all there, Deepu and you, and she was not able to answer. So then that it gave me alert, okay, maybe she didn't test it properly for some high level basic flows. And the moment after that call I have tested, I found the very first critical bug which Pankaj had missed out. Yeah, so these are the things also, giving me anticipation sometimes that even if she is working on the card, maybe she is not doing a thorough testing or something, we are slipping in terms of the bugs or defects, which may be, causing a problem in production later on. So that is something I would suggest to keep in mind. I know you don't really need to test everything, but at least when code comes and she picks it, like any card assigned to her, try to do some basic validation from your side and observe, like,
Right.
in first few days she doesn't find any issue but you find it. So either you can raise a bug and just coordinate with Adorin, because this I observed many times. This is just a recent example I have found, but it has been in past also. Like every time I'm suggesting her, like she tested, she didn't find a bug, and then I'm actually asking her, oh, how the testing is going on, did you test this scenario? So this happened most of the time, like 90% times. Like I'm asking her, did you cover this scenario, did you cover that? And I used to get, oh, I did not cover that, but I can cover that. And then when I'm suggesting those things, or if I'm finding an issue, then I'm asking either to raise a bug, or she is validating and then she is finding those bugs. So that kind of critical thinking, I really want her to start working towards that, but I'm not seeing a lot of improvement. So keep in mind, you also see those things, and if you find, just nudge her around.
Okay. Yeah, I will keep that in mind. Yeah. So yeah, like little off topic, but I wanted to know about that Shweta's card, right? That cleanup card. That day also you were asking those questions, and same thing I was asking in what meeting I don't remember.
Oh yeah, that sprint planning. Oh sorry, PI planning.
Yeah.
PI planning.
No, we did not have test specify, but I had asked this question to Shweta when you were not there. So that meeting I don't remember.
Oh, that
We did not
earlier
have
one.
test specify, maybe sprint backlog or sprint planning
Oh, you are
when
referring.
it was getting aside.
Oh, you are referring the conversation she mentioned that it was already discussed with QA and Aloki.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that time, I was sure that I had asked that question, but I was not. I very well knew that we did not have test specify, and I was not remembering like when that conversation happened. So that time, Aloki said, because the automation test just checks whether that template is there in that S3 bucket. That's all they check. but they do not do any validation like about actual fields in there. So I don't know whether the code is written in such a way, because
So
you had
the
multiple
so there are,
changes
yeah,
in
so there
those,
were
right?
two things actually. So if we see, and again, I later on thought on that perspective also, but I would still suggest for automation coverage. Why? Because first of all, the card is for the flagger cleanup, that N by N DC support, right? Which was turned on in order to support the testing. Now everything live in N, like for N by N in the production. So that's why we were proposing this flagger cleanup. Now when we do the code cleanup, of course there will be changes in Terraform and in application code, and also I believe in the Terraform in some of the lambdas. But the core functionality validation that we needed is to make sure, let's say if we have a snapshot plus ARE policy, or OBD plus ARE policy, or ARE only policies, and regardless whether it's 1 by 1 or N by N, the moment we have a new change in the environment with the cleaned up code, we need to make sure that all these possible scenario based ARE communication, whether it's a welcome email, opt out email, both respective real time SMS, or non installer, non communicator, batch reminder SMS and email, like all those 14, 15 communication we do have, right? Re registration. Those
Correct.
communication based template are still generated by our respective lambdas. And also, since the communication email is created, then definitely that communication analytics, like that's a 98% chances. If the communication actual communication template is being triggered, then the communication analytics bucket will also have that file generated, that
Correct.
JSON file.
Yep.
So right now in automation we had lot of system integration test, not just for the actual communication validation with all these high level policy scenarios like snapshot plus ARE, ARE only, OBD plus ARE, but also the communication analytics validation. Now I remember before the end to end discussions and those coverage, they were only validating if the communication analytics file is being generated. That was the only scope. But later on we also discussed, you remember we discussed that in order to avoid the overhead for validating the communication template and then further communication analytics file, if automation can just keep validating all the possible scenarios with the generated communication analytics file and also the details, then we should be okay. Because if communication analytics file is being generated, that is 100% surety that template is also generated. The communication email, SMS, batch SMS, they all will be generated. Because if the process has been failing at the communication template creation itself, then analytics will always be failing. So that is our
Correct.
100% proof of concept. Now
Correct.
now I remember for the communication analytics, we were validating policy number, because we added the driver name, first name, last name also. So there were additional field validation I asked Matt to include. We might need to reconfirm again if he did or not, but I pretty remember during the end to end scenarios, I asked him, and we have mentioned the comments also what kind of validation we needed. So high level
Okay.
plan is policy number should be validated. I think the template name will be validated, the TMX ID, and also the first name, last name for those kind of emails because we added. Now, if we are talking about the AD active and UBI active related other fields, which is specific to communication analytics bucket, I think right now we can ignore that part because as per today's discussion, we have a plan
Yeah,
that we will
those
be
will be
removing those
irrelevant.
fields.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Correct.
the major validation now going forward will be whether a particular TMX ID with participant should have a welcome email, opt out email, non installer, non communicator email, or the respective SMS should be generated. If the communication analytics bucket are generated for each respective template, then I think we should be okay. And that part
Oh,
he
so we
all
need to
so
make
that
sure, because,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
So that part I believe, again, I may not be 100% too, but my understanding was like 90% chances that it may be in the automation. Like definitely communication analytics validation they have for policy number, template name, but I'm not sure if they are also adding for other few fields coming in that. And if
Yeah,
the
I was. I mean, I'm like coming one step back, like
okay,
not communication analytics bucket validation, but email validation. So for that, they said they just validate template name, whether ARE welcome generated, we are good. They are saying we pass the test case, but they are not checking, like you said, right, policy number or first name, last name, or whatever fields you might have added, right, as part of N by N. I don't remember what all changes we had, but first we had something, then we added, we need to add this field, and was that behind the flagger? That I don't know. So
okay,
those things they are not validating. That's what I heard in automation. And that's why Aloki was like, okay, we need QA, like manual QA testing as well, just on high level, like happy path case.
Okay, let me share. Maybe we can check in automation and as well card also. I'm just opening the card first just to go over the details. Let me know if you are able to see my screen now.
Mm-hmm. So that's why we made the points higher when she said, like, at least one template, if we want to test for everything, there are how many? Like,
yeah, at least if only happy path case like ARE only or snapshot plus ARE only we are testing, still we need to validate at least 14-15 template data.
Yeah, that's why we raised it. Sorry, this cough is like all the time I'm good, and whenever talking to someone, it is like
Yeah, for me also, like if I'm continuously talking, at one point of time I just start choking. Yeah, so yeah, I mean that is again my point. We might need to talk to Matt. I don't know if he is here. Let me check with him.
yeah, I mean, I can check it with him later as well. I just brought it up because, yeah, that's where, the disconnect is. And that portion, like I'm not getting information from anybody else, because I have to trust Aloki then, because you are the one, and if you are not there, then I trusted Aloki's because she
No,
was
definitely,
feeling,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, because my only point is like cleaning up this the original intention of Aloki is also just to validate if the communication is created successfully. So if that is the only, because of course, I mean, you are not changing the template data element, right? The app code cleanup which you will be doing on the app like app code or Terraform level, it just whether the first point itself is if the new code change are breaking anything, that means template itself will be not created. You are not changing the data elements within the template itself, like first name, last name, or those that's how the major change will be as part of cleanup. So your first point itself will be regardless whether it's a QA effort or automation effort, whether the email is generated or not. If email is generated, then the fields are coming properly or not. That's the second part. And I clearly remember when we had the last feature for adding the first name, last name for all the batch emails, we had a automation run because that was a new change. This was these two first name last name field were not the part of any validation earlier, not just for QA but also for STs. So because this was a new feature itself to add as part of N by N, so they had the automation work. I don't recall if they have done everything in the end-to-end test cases plus all those 105 system integration test case, but I clearly remember the work was done, and I was looking for
Okay.
that automation card also, or the task they have created. So if the template validation itself is needed, then they will simply continue with the data element validation also. There is nothing else needs to be verified, and that is simply we can
Correct.
achieve from the automation just to avoid heavy manual effort.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I had the same impression, but when Aloki had different thoughts, then I thought maybe, I don't know something. That's why I'm like underestimating and like relying on automation, because I knew you had like STs were working on these tests. That's what I knew. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I will once. I mean, if you are there, then yeah, we can check. But yeah, I will verify with Matt also.
Yeah. At least ask for ARE only and snapshot plus ARE cases, because that's how I emphasize for all the communication, at least do the validation. And
Hmm.
he had added, because we clearly, I think, let me check that.
And it was the time, when I had no confidence in automation because cancel scenario, right? They kept saying it like they have covered it, and then something was ARE plus snapshot policy. When they cancel, it was just opting out of snapshot and not from ARE. That's what they were saying in automation tests. And he was asking questions, and that time when we little digged deeper into that automation test, they were still calling old TDM, and then they like ARE unenrollment does not rely on snapshot unenrollment SNS, right? We have
Correct.
different
Correct.
SNS depending on that policy transaction. So that part they had skipped, and all this time these tests were running. So I don't.
No, yeah, that's how we might need, because that's what I have always felt. And I remember during the end to end, I used to have that pull request, like all those code changes they were doing. I also actually used to, because a lot of time I remember, right now all the test case, especially for system integration and end to end, they use these orchestration, like the different function, and it's easy way to create the enrollment step, then followed by registration and feature activation, which is a very good job. I think Aloki ideated that scenario or the requirement, and then Matt and team had implemented that orchestration, which made a lot of life easy for automation work to accomplish. But even the prerequisite step in terms of the hard hat data creation and how that hard hat data they were utilizing in subsequent feature flows, that is where I used to check and find a lot of problems. So I mean, it was not a lot, but yeah, again, that comes in terms of the domain knowledge that we possess more than what they know. So if you feel that, for example, any PBI work coming or any production bug which they also have a automation task assigned, so I think during that test specify, you can bring that discussion also. Like sometimes Matt used to ping me and I used to ping Matt proactively just to understand what changes he will be bringing into, and understand
Okay.
from ST's perspective, like firsthand what their thought process is to implement that automation coverage. And if something you need to add the value, like if they are not doing correctly in terms of whatever steps needs to be optimized, then you can have that discussion, because that's how I have observed. Like I remember there were a couple of end-to-end scenario where Dan was struggling and he was trying to find some information with dev, and eventually I did not know what was the roadblocker. So he reached out to me eventually, and I saw his test case, and it was actually messed up in terms of the different step order and the red hat, like hard hat data creation. So I have gone through that hard hat template where they were using some policy transaction queue related data, which eventually was fed into our APIs, and that was not correct. So by
Okay.
providing that means we were also saving effort and also providing that guidance that what are the right steps to cover in the automation. but I know this is a lot. I don't want you to take that heavy lifting all the time, but at least if you want to understand beforehand rather than finding issues at later stage from that, like during their execution or something they did not implement it but the card work is already done by them. So before that, just have a review with them, like what they are doing. If the task they already
Okay.
have assigned, what their approach has been to implement that logic in terms of ST's test cases, and if something you need to correct it, then bring that attention upfront.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I want you to utilize your time effectively, because I know it's their job firsthand, but most of the time, sometimes the domain knowledge take a step back for them to not be able to add those
Mm.
information. So that is something you can add
Yep.
value by providing, because we are well versed in terms of those validation, because we are doing lot of validation from QA, so we know
Correct.
the
Correct.
different
Yep.
triggers and system.
Yep.
Okay, I think I was going through the chat. I will add you in this chat also. I mean, just to
Okay.
keep a cross check of the history what we did work on, and if something,
Mm-hmm.
if something can help you for any discussion going forward.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, let's ask from Matt. Maybe next week we both can regroup and at least
Mm-hmm.
understand, because most of the time I try to keep remember things, because every time the same kind of discussion happens and then we go back to the base thing to check, oh, we do have this coverage or not, do we have the right step or not. So something I remember on top levels to give them direction, okay, you need to look for that, because we had discussed in past. So we had discussed for some implementation, whether that implementation took place eventually or not, that we can confirm with them.
Yeah, Matt is also like, I mean, Aloki keeps pushing. That's what I had seen. Like, yeah, the cancel scenario I was talking about, right? That time also, when we figured that out, that, oh, that's the reason, they are, first of all, they were calling still old TDM,
Yeah.
which is not a good test, right? Because in production, we are going through new TDM. So what is
Right.
the use of these type of automated tests? So that time he closed that card out saying we cannot automate, and then Aloki was like, why can't you automate? And we reopened that card and
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
eventually.
that I totally, because I remember for Cool AD since the time we started N by N, and especially just before the end-to-end beginning, we actually took that lead effort, because I know sometimes you have to go a hard way to keep pushing things. So
Yeah.
every time we are hearing, oh, something we cannot do, and policy transaction is one crucial part that even by hearing people say, oh, we cannot automate, but we need to learn the opportunity where to fix it and where to implement that. So I,
Right.
I totally agree. We really did that push a lot, and Aloki also takes credit in terms of pushing from SM, handoff perspective, that we really need to have good
Yeah,
coverage.
I really liked it because on our team, Ian doesn't push that much, he will be like, if they do it, that's fine. He won't push it and don't ask questions like, oh, why can't you do that? Let me show me your code, like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think this time we really work, like I and Loki really push. I remember every day for automation I used to work with Matt, providing that information, checking the pull request, and I think since then we had a good coverage, because I also saw, I don't know how you guys are feeling, but since the time we started having these end-to-end test coverage, at least they start. I remember there were many times, 2 3 times during the end-to-end itself, that before us automation was
Yeah,
actually
they
finding the
found,
problem.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes, there was yeah, I remember. And those are like scenarios that we don't do, something related to delete and
correct. Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So those are the ones we don't do every day, right?
Every day, correct.
Enrollment, activation, registration, we'll find it out just like that because hundreds of people doing it every day.
Every day, yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it has been improved a lot. I agree.
So yeah, continue, do that good job, and yeah, I mean, I want to kudos to you again. Like, thank you for all that work you are doing, and now you have great opportunity for leading this quality team. Uh, I would like to learn your experience once I come back. But anything else you need before I go on? I mean, I know you pretty well handling the things already, but anything else you want me to support you or help you?
Oh yeah, I will let you know. As of now, I'm good. Only one thing I wanted to ask about Yasmin, because Paul was asking me in my one-on-one.
Okay.
So, like, what's the expectation from us? Like, because once she had set up a call with me and Doreen, um,
So
and
she
then
was
that time,
actually she was I don't know what the direction came from, whether it's Julie or Pam, because what
hmm,
last I heard from Pam, I was just training her and mentoring her as part of ERO QA lead. Uh,
okay,
yeah. So and I cleared that expectation to her also, that she's not coming to this project to lead as part of my backup, because we have a plan to regroup within our three QA resources. And like I mentioned specifically for you that in my absence you will be working in Coolady. So I don't know if,
mm-hmm,
and I what I remember so far, Pam might not have given that direction. The only thing we started, because she requested me to have her in the meeting so that she can understand how I'm doing the communication, what kind of daily responsibility I had her, and
hmm.
delegate with teams as part of QA lead role. So that's why I involve in the calls. But other than that, I think you are not supposed to shadow her. I mean, right now she has been part of all the meetings, so she is just a silent observer. And if there is any questions, she can reach out. But I don't think it's a mandate thing for you to shadow right now, because that's not part of your onboarding schedule. So
Yeah, because Paul was asking, and he thought like, oh, I mean, I should be doing. I mean, I'm not like saying no to it, but I need to know, right? What all things am I expected to do, right? That that was not clarified, and he was like, because I knew
so
that
I
she
have a
is not
question.
coming on our project.
So I have a question, because she didn't even
Mm-hmm.
mention to me. I didn't have a call after my comeback, but we chatted and she didn't bring that to my attention. So did Jody and Paul ask you, or ask, like, do you know that if coming to you was a direction given by Jody and Paul, or she herself reach out to you for onboarding?
I think she herself. Okay, let me. She just like started with like you. She was like shadowing you, and then um, you were like giving her information like how you work every day, like test plan or something like that. And then that's why she wanted to set up a call with me, and she
No,
had
okay.
set up a call with me.
No, so she is not supposed
And
to do, because that direction should be coming from Pam. Like if I'm not present, because I'm aligned to the ERO training for her, and you are already occupied with ARE project until that direction is coming from Pam. If she has any generic question in terms of the work going on, right? But it's not a dedicated onboarding you need to do for her. If something, because she is under Pam's umbrella, like her RM, if I'm not
mhm.
there and if anything is needed, I think she first need to reach out to Pam, whether Pam needs to create a backup for her onboarding, because we have other ERO lead also who can shadow her. And since she's not gonna be part of telematics project, so far I know, because I'll be coming back and you are
Yeah,
anyway.
that's what she told.
Yeah.
Like she won't be part of our project thing.
Yeah. So I mean, if she's asking the general questions, I think yeah, go ahead. I'm fine. But I don't think you need to. Right now, you need to dedicate the onboarding training part. until unless you have bandwidth, which I don't think, because you will be occupied in taco also. So
Yeah, I like that's what I was telling Paul. Like tell me, because you are not telling me that, oh, this is also, part of uh, my responsibility or whatever, right? If like someone comes to me and then she just had a set up one call, and Jody had told me, oh, you know what, you involve Yasmin in the new PBI. What is that?
yeah, so I
Adding
think
first name, last name. What is that? In SMS, we are adding, if PNI is there, is PNI Y and PNI's name. So for that card, Jody told me, like, involve Yasmin in everything you do, like whatever, like if you are testing or test
so maybe
specify or
maybe
whatever.
that the confusion of the direction came up, because Aloki also had mentioned this. I couldn't have chatted with her in detail because I was occupied in a lot of meeting and work in this week, so I couldn't touch base with Aloki in my one to one. But she has given me some idea that somehow, because she was also not very clear the role of Yasmin. I have told her I mentioned this in my stand up and chat also, that I'm just going to do the generic ERO training and mentoring to her because she is new to the company. But there was no mention that there will be any backup once I'm gone for her onboarding. It is something Pam has to take care if I'm not available, because we need to be very mindful your time, right? I mean, of course, if you have the time and things are okay and you are willing to mentor her, all good. But you're not supposed to do that at first hand until unless any direction given to you. And I never gave you that direction, right?
Yeah,
Pam.
you never gave that direction, and Jody just mentioned to involve her, and that's not a big problem, right? Right now,
Correct.
also
Yeah.
she is involved in all the meetings. That I can do for sure. But then when I told Paul about this, then Paul was like, "Oh, you know what? If Namrata was doing her, doing onboarding for her, then why don't you do it?" And then I said, she's not going to be part of ARE. So ARE onboarding is different.
Different.
And
Correct.
just general ERO onboarding would be different.
Different. Correct.
Then, and I don't even know if we have template or what, because I'm also new in this role. So nobody onboarded me like that when I joined
Same
Progressive,
here.
like
Same here.
just general.
Just general. Yeah.
So
Like
I don't
we
know.
have been
So
giving,
he was
to
like,
be very frank, I think you might, I have not seen you, but the way we had been doing onboarding, like at least what I started with Yasmin and Doreen and with you all, I feel like the way we, engage ourselves is pretty well, because when I joined Progressive, I did not have anything. I remember how much struggle I have to find out the single information because there was no
correct.
documentation and everything. It's
Yeah,
like you are riding the blank spot in a complete barren
correct.
land where you need to find the things, okay,
Yeah.
what is happening. So we still have a lot of documentation then in our RE project. That's a good thing to utilize. But I agree.
Yeah, and I have seen, like, for ERO people, there is no like general
Onboarding.
onboarding, like for QA role. I mean, whatever project you go, then you will get onboarded, like you
Onboarding.
did for
Yeah,
us,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's how it is. Then Paul was like giving me ideas, like, oh, why don't you, like, this is a good opportunity. I said, yes, but that is a good opportunity if I don't have anything else. Like, I have to do taco testing. I have to
No. Yeah,
see
that's why
like
I mentioned at
coolant.
first step. Like, first of all, and let me talk to her also and Jody also, because Aloki gave me some idea. Maybe she sensed something, or Jody might be pushing her to be in telematics ARE project. I don't really know. I need to talk
Oh,
to Aloki because lot of thing happened when you go for a few days and I was gone for 2 weeks. So now, damn God know what happened, but that's how
yeah,
she gave
everybody
me.
is like
Yeah, she gave me some
getting their
hint and
own meaning, and
yeah, she gave me some hint and I wanted to talk to her. I couldn't get time. Hopefully by this
okay.
by this Friday I will touch base with Aluki also in detail level. But yeah, let me talk to Yasmin and Jody. But again, if you really have time, then only think about that what Paul suggested. Otherwise, it was just a generic ERO training what I was giving. It was not part of telematics onboarding. Just to clarify
Okay.
that, yeah.
Mm.
And if you really have bandwidth, of course, it will always be opportunity, but we also need
Yeah.
to be considerable like what is in our plate right now. If you can handle that, well and good, because otherwise the generic invite what I have forwarded to her, she has been part of those conversation anyway, and being a silent observer, like sprint meeting, stand up, sprint reviews, all those. And that kind of, even from telematics project perspective, I have given lot of details to her. I actually started with that so that she knows like what exactly this program is, and then I started some other policy pro training for her. So
Okay.
maybe that's why Jody might have encouraged her or given that direction to reach out to you. But yeah, I leave that up to you. But I definitely talk to Yasmin and Jody, so we don't have any confusion and we have like the right expectation aligned among all of us.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. Yeah,
Because
after this taco is done, then yeah, I will have some bandwidth for sure. Because this taco thing is also, these people are so pushy. I mean, Hemant
so
is like
how long you gonna
getting.
be in Taco this entire December?
They are
Living?
they are saying like what? So the thing is, there are too many uh, test cases to be tested. They wanted to get it done in a week, but
Which is not
everybody, like
possible.
Michelle, me, Deepu, everybody know that is not going to happen.
That's
But
true.
still, they have their like golden date there. So
I like that golden date.
yeah, I was telling Michelle. Then Michelle says, "Yeah, we all know except Hemant." So still, for him, that's the date. But yeah, long story short, it will be like not 1 week, 2 weeks. It should be like 2 weeks.
Starting from November or December?
Yeah, we already started
Oh,
like
you already started. Okay.
yesterday, or yeah. And they said like that's again my like 50% of my time and 50% of Deepu's time.
Yeah, even
That's
that's
how
what I
we
discussed.
negotiated.
That's what I discussed because this week, like after you, me, and Deepu talked on Monday, I think yesterday Paul also reached out to me that I mean, we already discussed maybe somewhere he was not in the same page or impression. So he asked me, like, okay, let's have Manasvi continue for that QA lead role in Cool AD Mane. So I told her, like, I am just here for some times. Again, I will be going. So we already discussed the plan and she will continue to do so as part of Cool AD work. And since she's also being allocated to Taco for the next few weeks, so I am totally relying on her to delegate delegate more work rather than being involved in the actual validation, and she can work with Doreen to push her, because that's all sprint work she will be mainly focusing on, right? And then you can just on high level take care of the QA lead responsibility from QA perspective, because you might be juggling between Square if needed or Taco definitely with 50% allocation. So then I just clarified to him also, being on same page. And
Okay.
then I also had the same concern because I know there are too many things coming on your plate and overall in our Coolity QA space. So if Deepu has to be there, I don't know. I mean, again, what he mentioned further, that because we are light on the work right now, especially on the Square front. So I think we are okay with this approach that you and Deepu both will be 50% allocated. But again, as the work come and you guys can always shift your gears accordingly. But yeah, try to
Yeah.
utilize as much utilize Doreen as much as you can in terms of the work delegation, rather than heavily involved on testing side also, because as I said, like we have been giving her more opportunity continuously, but she really needs to own that work, and especially in terms of the defects and the domain knowledge, because these are the two things I feel like if you are well versed, it's always easy on testing part, and that's how the
Correct.
gap I have
Correct.
been feeling about her.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
So
yeah,
that's good.
that's
At
good.
least like we talked through, because yeah, everybody has their own understanding and then we are creating picture from that. So that's why, and
Yeah.
our projects are also like that, right? Like different teams, and the taco team in between, they come and ask.
Yeah.
That time also we
I was
uh,
actually
like
thinking like
suggested Doreen can do that, but for them, no, either Deepu or me, they wanted.
for
But
taco.
if you talk, yeah, for taco validation. But if you see what validation they want to do, it's literally donkey work. I mean, me and Deepu were talking, like literally old TDM, comparing old TDM versus new TDM. So Doreen could do that
Could do
too.
that. Okay.
It's not like you need some expertise. It's just simple. But yeah, again, I said it's too much, and yeah, donkey work is the best to
Best phrase to
summarize
best phrase
that.
to define. That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, I did not know that scope, and I thought, okay, taco is still coming back. Wow, but yeah, because I think that also led something, because I first thought I will continue with the same vacation, but I talked to my leave specialist, and they were anyway gonna be using my PTO first. So I just thought like,
Mm,
why to waste my leave before even surgery? So that's why I continued after
right.
coming back, at least for this 2 weeks of period.
Yeah, that's good for you also. Like you will get in touch.
Yeah,
I mean, you got some idea, right? Oh, after my absence, what all things happened. So that's good.
yeah, that's true. How's everything at home apart from work?
Yeah,
Any plans for
everything
Thanksgiving?
is Thanksgiving. Yeah, my daughter is coming on Monday, like Thanksgiving week, Monday night.
Okay, okay.
So she will be there for like until Saturday.
Oh wow,
So yeah, we are
that's
not
it.
planning to do anything outside, but yeah, we'll just relax and spend time with her.
Yeah, I think it will be first Thanksgiving for her, like coming home away,
Yeah,
like
real
home
Thanksgiving.
away, real Thanksgiving. She's
Yeah,
in
and this
Ohio
time
only, right? No.
yeah, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Ohio State. It's 2 hours drive from here.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
she
initially
she
she used to come like every week or alternate week, but now like she hasn't come.
uh,
Like
yeah.
it's been over a month.
Oh wow. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
getting busier and busier.
yeah, she's getting busy,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah, which is good. So she lives in a college hostel, or she's like living
Yeah,
on. Okay.
college hostel.
Okay, that's good.
First 2 years they have to be there uh,
Just for that,
in
yeah.
college dorms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good
and then
actually.
after that they can rent an apartment.
Outside the campus, okay.
Yeah, outside the campus. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's see.
let's see. Yeah, I always miss my college life. Like every time if I'm talking to someone, like now you brought the topic, it's always uh, gave me that flashback. So I used to have the
Yeah,
same kind of
those were
talk.
golden days.
Yeah, I think
You will
we
understand after it is gone.
after it's gone, that's true. It's
Yeah,
especially fast forward after like 10, 15 years, then you just see those reels and stories and hearing from your friends.
right.
That always it makes you very nostalgic.
I know. Yeah.
I
How
remember
is your
during
health and all?
health is doing fine. Like I recently had my diabetes test again. I just keeping a watch. Like everything is going stable. So
Mm-hmm.
that came good.
Okay,
So
good.
I'm really hoping that everything goes good. Like my doctor had really like few months back when I had the first initial test,
Mm-hmm.
she really yanked out on me that what are you doing you like of course I mean I know things, but I always hate being in hospital or being around those medical stuff. I try to
Oh,
be very domesticated in terms of home remedies and try to take care of me, like not to really heavily relying on the allopathic or kind of lot of drugs and medication. But then she yanked out, like, you really know how, like, you really don't have much time if you are planning all these things in future, and you really need to take care of that thing. And surgery is not a easy thing, especially the one which you need. So you really need to take care of your vitals. And that day I was like really shocked and kind of literally very emotional, like, oh, I did not see that kind of impact coming. But maybe like first 2 weeks I was really very stressed out. But then I told, there is no point of being stressed and being in this situation. You really need to have
Yeah.
to work
Yeah.
hard
You
for.
just need to
Yeah.
find out a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think since then things are improving. I really hope so, and test results are saying so. But let's
Oh,
see
that's
how the
really good.
final countdowns happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope everything will be good. Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, yeah, I think that's pretty much. And yeah, thank you again for joining and having this discussion. I
Oh, no
think,
problem. Thank you.
uh, yeah, I think if nothing else, then I won't hold you up.
Sure. Yeah. We'll touch base like
Yeah,
before you go, like
cool.
whenever.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Manasvi. Take care.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.